Hey there YouTube, this is SJM4306 back with another review. This time, I got a new toy to play with, and basically, I do a lot of recording on my phone. It's my main camera for YouTube. I like to, take pictures with it and whatnot. And I've seen these floating around, and they were pretty expensive, I believe, when they first came out. These are sort of like a selfie stick, but it actually has motors inside to do like very clever kind of balancing, so that even if you move the handle, it'll autocorrect. And so, I've always been interested in these. They always were kind of fairly expensive, over $100. And I did a search recently. I had a gift card and a little bit of money to burn on that. So I did a search and I found this guy, retailed for, I believe it was like a little over $60, something like that, maybe like $70. And I thought I would give it a try. Now, this is only a 2-axis version. The 3-axis versions are quite a bit more expensive. And so, anyway, I just wanted something that was kind of cheap, and I wanted to see how it was. And so I ordered this guy, and I'm not sure what brand this is actually. Oh, there we go. It is a Zhiyun. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. And this came real quick. I mean, I ordered it, must have been like 2 days ago or something like that. And it's already here. So there is an app, ZY Cami app. I'll see if it works without the app. I would prefer not to have to use the app. But anyway, this one includes a nice little carrying case and a little tripod stand as well. So I'm really excited to see how this works. If I could take like really neat panoramics and whatnot, I'd be happy with that. So anyway, this should fit my phone, hopefully. And there is a little bit of, looks like a plastic tape on here. There we go. We broke the seal. Opened it up, and yeah. Now there were ones a little bit more cheap, a little cheaper, and a little more expensive, but I liked the way that this one looked. It was kind of minimalistic, and it was nice that it came with a case as well, because these are semi-fragile. So, because of the way that they work, they have like balanced, like brushless motors or something on the end. So you are going to want to be a little bit careful with them. So on the top here, we have a QC sticker. Okay, very shiny. We have a silica bag. Very nice. Service card. We have tiny little user manual. That is tiny. Okay. Probably more useful is the quick use card here. In English as well, so English and Chinese, so that's good. Generally how to use it, and I believe this should definitely be compatible with the inbuilt Android camera app, so should be fine. And let's see, there's another little info card here. It's just what the materials it's made of. Okay, that's interesting. And it has USB-C. I'm really liking that. I'm getting more and more things that have USB-C, and I have cords for my phone for it and whatnot. It's just more convenient, I think, as USB-C is adopted. So this guy is the tripod. Decently well made. This is probably ABS plastic. It's actually pretty strong. Little rubber feety. Convenient, small. This could also actually be useful for my projectors because it uses a standard, what was it, Imperial, like 1/4 inch or something, screw. So that'll be interesting to see if that'll work with my projectors. And we have the actual device here. And we're just going to tear this open. And there are instructions right on the body as well, which I will heed in this one instance because I don't want to destroy it. First time powering it up. So 1, you have to rotate the controls out. That's a 4-way joystick. It's like a digital click. That's interesting. No center push though. Okay, we rotate that out. There's like a rubber kind of gasket in between. That's interesting. And step 2, let's see, upside down. Pull this out slightly. Ah, it separates. It's a little bit stiff. I'm guessing as I use that, it'll get a little better. So, okay, you want to rotate this out just slightly so it clears, so it doesn't catch on any of the other mechanism. And you can see it now, it freely rotates. So I did step 3. Step 4 is you rotate. Let's see. How does this work? Hopefully it doesn't matter. Oh, it snaps or detents. That's very nice. Okay. So yeah, I like that. So rotate it out. And step 5 is you just use it. So anyway, there's the power button on the side, 4 battery indicators. Looks like a little bit of protective sticker on there. Everything's rubber, very nice. So yeah, this non-marring your phone, hopefully. Phone camera direction. Okay, so you have to point the camera in a certain orientation. Okay. And what else do we have? We have, I guess the model name is SmoothX, apparently. We have the USB-C charger on the side there, so pretty convenient. We have a zoom, so wide or narrow. It's a slider. It's spring-loaded. Feels pretty good. And the button is like, all the buttons are kind of, well, this one in particular is like rubberized. It almost feels like. But actually, that might be hard plastic. So yeah, everything's kind of soft touch. Digital buttons, no analog sliders or anything. There is an indicator here, I guess a record indicator. And this connects to your phone via Bluetooth, so you can control all your phone's camera functions through this handle, which is pretty cool. There's a wrist strap, and there's the tripod mount, the 1/4 inch or whatever. And so, let's see, how do I probably turn it on would be a good, let's just angle this guy up. So maybe press and hold. So it's blinking now, and I guess there's 75% charge left. So how do I, yeah, it looks like I actually have to connect it to the app or something. Oh, you do, it looks like you have to activate the product. So yeah, I'm gonna have to actually do that on the camera that I'm filming on right now. So give me 1 second and then I'll demo turning it on after I've activated this. Yeah, let's do a quick demo of how this generally works. Now I have my old Samsung, what is this, a Galaxy S3. So this isn't compatible with the app. This is running too old of a version of Android. I believe you have to have Android 7 or newer to run the Cami app. But you can always use the standard Android like video recording app. You just lose some of the functionality with, you know, the slider button, for instance. And now, one important thing, in order to use a record button, basically you have to change the setting in the Android app to take a picture when you click the volume button, because that's all this button basically does is over Bluetooth, is it presses a volume button essentially. Anyway, we can take this guy out of lock, and one very important thing that they mention is you want to get this balance kind of as well as possible. It'll work when it's off balance, but the motor will have to continually struggle to compensate, and it actually chews up the battery a lot faster. I noticed on my phone that I'm filming on, the S8 Plus, I had it off a little bit slightly, and a quarter of the battery drained in like probably like 15 or 20 minutes. So, and I noticed I kept hearing it kind of like the motor felt kind of warm, and I kept hearing it kind of struggling. So yeah, you want to get this in the off state as balanced as possible so it doesn't really try to rotate one direction or the other. Anyway, you just turn this on by pressing and holding the button, and it's booting up. And you can hopefully see, there we go. So it is currently on, and I can use this the 4-way thumbstick to actually adjust it. So we have left, or well, left and right. So you can see here, and there's actually 2 modes. One is where it's kind of hard to explain. when this is blinking, it allows you to actually adjust. You can see it's kind of turning to compensate. If I press this button, it will always try to fix on one object. You can see as I wave it back and forth, it keeps the phone more or less pointed towards the couch that I have there. In a nutshell. And you can always override by pressing the joystick. And if you press up and down on the joystick, you actually control the tilt. So you can always manually adjust that. And likewise, if you double click the M button, the mode button, it'll rotate from basically portrait or landscape. If I go back again. And so anyway, I guess I'll just put this back in this mode. So it does kind of articulate at this point here. I might have to actually tighten it up on my unit. I've noticed it's a bit loosey-goosey. If I wave it around too fast, it kind of tends to flex and bend. Other than that, I suppose we're going to have to take some sample footage. Just in terms of the extendability, though, try to pull this out. It does extend about this long. You can see right there, just from me touching it, it kind of popped out a bit. It undid, so I might have to tighten that screw. But like I said, it extends about a foot. And when you place it this far away, this phone is relatively light, so this isn't bad. But when I have my S8 Plus on it, there's kind of a lot of force to hold it by the handle. Even though the actual device itself is light, having the phone that far away does kind of mean you have to actually grip it pretty strongly. Now, in order to use some of the more advanced features, like there's an auto track, you can select like an object and it'll follow it, or in order to do like the panorama modes, you will need to install their app, unless if your camera app has panoramic mode manually. But their version actually auto rotates the camera, which is actually pretty neat, so you don't have to manually do that. But there is a bug, at least in the Android version, which is rather unfortunate. But one very cool thing, just getting away, looking at the hardware itself, is I can actually rotate like mostly around, and you can see it. This is only a 2-axis, so it can't adjust the actual vertical tilt itself, but it does a pretty good job, I find, of keeping everything kind of level, which is really cool. Now, it only goes like 280 degrees about on each axis, so it can't rotate fully 360. But it's actually really cool, and it's really smooth too. And my hands tend to, they'll tend to shake slightly, and it will actually take a lot of that out. Build quality is actually really good. I'm really happy with it. The rubberized coating on this back is really nice, so when you set it down, you set it down on that, it won't roll away. So yeah, let's take a look at some sample footage then, I guess. I'm recording this on my old phone. This is a Galaxy S3, just to show that this will work without the app. And as you can see, I can manually adjust left and right, and we can rotate the tilt of the camera itself, and just put that back normal. And I'm currently in the mode where it follows kind of wherever you first have it set up. So let's see. So there we go. So as I tilt, you can see it's kind of following that chair in general. This isn't, if you actually use the app, it does much better motion tracking, but this is sort of a dead reckoning, I'm assuming. It basically takes, when you first start this mode, or whatever you point towards the center of the camera, it'll use that as a reference and try to follow that angle. So you can see I'm moving a little bit up down. It can't compensate for that, but in terms of like the tilt and the angle, it does a pretty good job. Now I'm going to put it into kind of the more manual mode, where as you tilt the handle, it tries to follow your hand. You can see there, it does a pretty good job. There is some amount of latency. Let me just tweak that back center. So if you kind of have to move kind of slow to get it to point to what you want, or use a joystick to just manually force it, and that'll kind of work a bit quicker there. So you can see there, I'm just panning around. And so yeah, and the handle itself, right now I just moved the handle on top, so I'm holding it upside down actually. And let's just push it into this mode. Yeah, this works actually really well. It's pretty flexible in terms you can even have the handle on the side. But obviously, depending on the position of the handle, that axis motor will be constrained to only rotating in that orientation. So here I have the handle on the side, and so you can see it can now follow it up and down. It can rotate. But if I move left and right, it no longer has that ability to adjust in that axis. But yeah, overall this actually works really well, and it's like super smooth too. My hands aren't the shakiest, but they aren't the steadiest either. And I have trouble in general holding on to things. Now, the further I move the wand out, the more shaky it'll be. So right now I have it fully extended, and so I'm kind of having a bit of trouble. You can see it swaying a bit more than before because the weight of the phone is further from my actual hand itself. Let me just center that again. And one unfortunate thing is on this phone, at least, because it's such an old phone, this is running, I believe, must be like Android 5, maybe Android 4. It's a very old phone, the S3. It doesn't allow you the ability to take pictures by pressing the volume keys. Volume adjusts zoom. And so if I press the record button, it only tries to adjust the zoom. It pretty much does nothing. And the slider on the side, I'm pressing it right now, it's not zooming clearly. So you do need the app to use like all the features of this, which is kind of unfortunate. I wish it weren't tied to the app and it were tied to like button shortcuts. But a lot of the features I probably wouldn't use pretty much at all. So not really too worried about that, but yeah. Okay, so I'm in these, what is this, the ZY Cami app. You know, the software camera application that this pairs with. And the first time I connected, you basically just, this is a home screen, you just hit the camera icon and it'll try to search for Bluetooth devices. And once it finds it, it'll pair to the SmoothX. And there was a small issue. I did have to do a firmware update as soon as I got this. And the first time it got to like 90% and then it failed. I'm guessing because it was sending the firmware file over Bluetooth. And so you just have to have, you know, both devices fully charged and near each other. And I tried it the second time and it worked just fine. So yeah, so there was a slight issue with that, but yeah, not too horrible. So anyway, as you can see, I just entered the app itself. We just go back a sec. If I just hit the camera, it'll just take me into their version of the phone app, of the camera app. And with this, you can see here, at any point in time, you can drag like a circle over an object that you want to track, and it'll come up with a like a green box with an X. So you can exit out of tracking that, but with this, I'm able to essentially follow it. And now it does take a little bit of time. It's not like super quick or anything. And it does automatically adjust both the angle and like the rotation. So yeah, and when you're done tracking, you just can hit the X button. And then you can go back into either manual or auto mode. So I know, yeah, that it's a small feature. It works most of the time. Sometimes if you go out of frame, the camera will just sort of not know what to do, and it'll just kind of go off to some random angle. So the tracking could use a little bit more improvement. As for the zoom, the actual slider switch on the body in this app will actually zoom, and the record button will actually record. So you can see here, I can start recording, and I can stop recording. And let's see, yeah, if you double tap, you can switch between video and photo mode. So all these like shortcut buttons for the record and the slider for the zoom only work in their app. It does not work with the standard Android, with the exception of if your Android camera app does allow you to change to map the volume buttons to take a picture, then the record button will work. But I found no way to get the zoom slider to work, which is rather unfortunate. Their software looks, decent. There's kind of a lot of features. You can switch on like grids to get things lined up. You can change white balance. You can actually change the, let's see, you can shut off watermark. I don't know why I would possibly want that. You can turn on and off the flash. You can actually adjust the gimbal speed, so between fast, medium, and slow adjustment. I just leave it on fast because I want it to update as quickly as possible. You can invert the different controls. I don't really see a need for that. You can do shortcuts for when you press the M button, what it does. I just left it on default. And you can auto-calibrate the gimbal by setting it on a table and pressing that. And finally, just general, there's device management, information about the device, etc., etc. There's not really too much adjustment-wise other than that. There's like some beauty filters. This is obviously clearly aimed towards like vloggers. So like beautification sort of stuff, color filters to like make things brighter than they actually are, and all that kind of stuff. As for video modes, there are really only two modes in video, 720p and 1080, and I believe they're both locked to 30 frames a second, so not great, but not horrible at the same point in time. Now if we go into photo mode, they do have to take a picture. If you make a peace sign with your fingers, it can auto-detect that and take a picture. And so that's possibly useful. You can do different time-lapse modes. You can adjust the time between it taking pictures. And yeah, a lot of the other settings are the same between the two modes. There is a panoramic mode, which, let's see, if I go into Pano, it's actually pretty neat what it does. So I'll click the button here, and you can see it auto moves itself, and it takes 7 pictures. Now there is a bug on the Android version that I think this works on the iOS version. I just don't have an iOS device, unfortunately. But when it generates this, it only does the first 3 pictures on my phone. So actually, that seems to have worked a little bit better. I rebooted my phone between the last time I tested. Last time I tested, it was only giving me about the first third of the image. This actually looks like it did take the full picture. So there's some bugs going on, and this time it did work, but the last time I tried it last night, it definitely did not. So there's something going on with that. So hopefully that's sort of the main gist of this. The software is serviceable. Now, if you don't want to use the software because maybe you want your phone to be as secure as possible and you don't trust installing from like a smaller developer, you can always use the standard app. You'll lose out on some features, but I mean it's debatable whether those are absolutely necessary because the gimbal itself will work perfectly fine without the app. You could just pair it up with Bluetooth and just use the record button, and that's kind of all you need at the base. You can always touch the screen, which will work, but yeah. So you don't have to use the app, and that's sort of, I'm probably not going to use this app. I just wanted to test it out to see if it were good or bad. And it looks like it's serviceable, but depending on what your needs are, it's not strictly necessary, honestly. So let's see, if we go into like smart mode, they'll have like sunny day and all this stuff, and these are like templates that basically overlay the video and whatnot. You can do that. I personally will never use that. And within the app itself, if you sign in, there is like a paid version, and as you can see, as you can see, it just crashed on me. So yeah, there's definitely some bugs they need to work out on this. If they fix the software right, I could see this definitely being useful. If I just go back to this main screen, there's basically the soft manual and everything built into this, so you can always check the manual because there are a number of shortcuts for these buttons if you triple or quadruple click them, and it is useful to have that on unit itself. You can actually like edit on the device, but I believe you need what they call Prime, which is the paid version of the app. It's a subscription. I'm not sure how much it costs, but I'm not big on subscriptions at all. If I buy software, I want to use it. I don't want to have to keep paying for it, so I'll never use that. I just edit on my computer anyway. Additionally, yeah, you can create an account here, and so I'm generally going to be sticking with this because I can adjust the resolution. I can increase the frame rate. I can take 4K videos, so I much prefer the standard Android app. Even though, unfortunately, it is recording right now. Unfortunately, like some of the buttons don't work the way that you'd want them to in the standard app, but it is what it is. So all in all, after using this for about a week, do I think it's worth the asking price? I think I paid about $70, a little more with tax. I think if you're just a point and shoot kind of person, you don't need this, honestly. If you are a vlogger, I think this is actually a pretty good deal. Especially if your hands aren't that steady. My hands aren't quite the steadiest, and I've noticed in a couple of my videos, and it's slightly annoyed me when I'm trying to get some close-up macro shots, it kind of screws it up. But with this device, it doesn't totally remove any shake, but actually it smooths out most of it, I've noticed. And you can get like really nice panning, zooming shots with this. So I think this is more space conscious than making some sort of like rotary table rig, or some people make like linear motorized rails for their cameras. I think this is a lot more versatile than that. And probably in terms of parts that you're going to spend to build something like that, this is comparable, and I think this is worth the asking price for. I think for individuals who do vlogging, this is definitely a good choice. There are more expensive models with an extra axis. I think I've seen some of them start at around 100 and they go up from there. So that's a little bit, I think, much for my case. I'm pretty much only going to be doing amateur photography, but mostly obviously macro shots and time lapses and stuff like that. And I don't always want to have to break out the tripod. So this is actually a pretty good solution for that. Anyway, let's just pack this up. So there actually is like locking detents that these go into for storage. So, and you have to be careful to pack it up. There actually are end stops. You do not want to force it and risk damaging it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, this actually locks into a 45-degree angle as well as straight on. So it's actually really versatile. I really like the versatility of the mounting and the locking and all that, and the handle itself. And all the plastic actually is really quality plastic, and it's not glossy. It's kind of slightly grippy, but it's not like that annoying rubberized coating that everything has nowadays. The only rubber on here is this, and I don't see this perishing anytime soon. So yeah, anyway, so let's see. You can fold this up like that. Start bending this out, push this back in, and then you rotate it just like so, and then it's ready to go. And this also is quite a bit more compact, it looks like, than a lot of the other alternatives. So it comes with a nice carrying case as well. So this is something I could definitely see myself going on the road and filming like vacation videos and stuff on. You can see it next to, obviously this is a small smartphone. This is the S3, this is an old phone that I was just using to test this out. And you can see it's about, in terms of footprint wise, it's about the same height. It's about the same width. Obviously it's thicker, but yeah, really like this. And the fact that it has USB-C to charge is really cool. I really like that. I ran this just for about like half an hour, and the battery didn't drop. So definitely my pointer on getting this balanced before you use it, getting the device balanced on the actual stand itself, is very useful. This is rated for, I think they say 4 or 5 hours of runtime under optimal conditions. I could definitely see it reaching that. All it really does is really like slightly move the motors every once in a while and does sensor stuff. So it shouldn't consume like tons of power. There is a 1000 milliamp hour battery in here. I don't see an easy way of replacing it. I don't know. It almost looks like I'd have to actually pull this out so I don't damage anything. Oh, wait. To do this properly. There we go. There is like a little, almost looks like it could be unscrewed, but I don't think it can. So if this does die, I'm not quite sure how to go about opening it to replace the battery. I assume it uses some standard long lithium pouch, or maybe an 18650, but the 1000 milliamp hour rating seems a bit low for an 18650. But it feels pretty light, so I imagine most of the inner space should be pretty empty. So actually it would be interesting to know if you could fit a larger battery in here, but yeah, you probably have to, it's probably clipped shut if I'm guessing right. There's no screws or anything like that. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Now, just as a disclaimer, this one I bought with my own money, so I wasn't provided this for like a free sample for a review. And this was just after a week of me using it, so I can't say as to if they'll fix the software bugs, and that's sort of the biggest thing. The hardware I love on this, the actual device itself, the built-in functions, great. It's their app that needs a lot of work. It's crashed on me once or twice. The pano mode that they have, I only got it to work once on me, which was really weird. I tried it like twice prior, and I couldn't get it to work fully. It only took the first 3 pictures. Well, it took all pictures, but it only like saved the first 3 pictures. But then when I just tried it like half an hour ago, it worked perfectly. So I don't know. There's some bugginess in the software. It seems like it's an early revision, so hopefully they fix that. Because if they up the software to the quality of the hardware, I could definitely see me using that app instead of the Android app, because I really do like the zoom functionality built in and all that. I really would have wished though that all the buttons were mapped like correctly for the Android camera app. That would be ideal, but unfortunately, maybe there's some restriction I'm unaware of with the Android camera app that will not allow you to do that. I don't know. Anyway, just judging it on its merits as of the software and the hardware right now, I give the hardware a huge thumbs up. It works great within limits once you're aware of what it can and can't do. Only having 2 motors are physical limits to what it can compensate for, as well as the sensor loop and all that, and reaction time. I wouldn't expect this to be super fast. It can't track like a fast moving object, obviously, but then again, this is more, I think, for like slow sort of things, like time lapses would be ideal, following like a slowly moving object or the clouds in the sky, something like that. Yeah, but other than the hardware, I think their app definitely needs some work. I'm a little bit disappointed on that front. But then again, software is something that can be easily updated. Hardware, not so much. So I have some hope in the future, as long as the app developer listens to suggestions. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this really random video. I know I normally try to stick to like more technical tech stuff, but this was something I thought that could actually improve the quality of future videos. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.